Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. So glad you guys can join us once again. For those tuning in on the simulcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on X, we're glad you all can be with us. Going to bring in our friends over on IG so they can be a part of our conversation. And last but certainly not least, going to bring in our friends over on Amazon Live. Have a great guest that's joining us for this next segment. We literally just met yesterday. I have a funny story to tell you guys about that. So make sure you guys stay tuned. If you guys are new to us on the Amazon side, welcome. You all are watching Cyrus Webb Presents. We appreciate you all being with us. If you are new, make sure you guys do hit that follow button, either here in this corner or down below. You also will see the books by our next guest. Now, I was introduced to author Herta yesterday. We actually met at the Baltimore Washington International Airport. I have a funny story to tell you guys about that. But you guys will see her newest book, Strange Shape of Love. I'm going to highlight it for you guys on the Amazon side. You also will see her book, Saving Phoebe Murrow, as well. We're going to talk to Herta not only about her writing journey, but also what it's been like for her to create and also share with readers and what she hopes you have to take away from the new book. Herta, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate being here and having bumped into you.
I know. So, Herta, we have to tell them the story. So, as I
Okay.
mentioned, we were both at the Baltimore Washington International Airport. I was leaving Louisville, Kentucky. My best friend's daughter had gotten married, and I was flying Southwest, which I typically don't do, ironically. Uh, and so I was flying Southwest heading back to Mississippi, and I stopped, as my regular audience will know. Anytime I see a book, I have to stop. And I saw this place. So I want to shout out the Drama Mama Bookshop there in the airport. I saw it and I was like, okay, let me take a look. So I'm looking around. I found this great journal. And the reason why I chose this one, Herita, is because one of the members of my team is an individual named Darius Ewing. And his motto is trust the process. So when I saw this, I thought, oh, that would be so cool. Darius, you're not getting this. I'm keeping it. But I was like, I like this a lot. And as I'm talking to the individual at the in the cashier, that's when Herta and I started talking because she told me she was coming to Mississippi. She was an author. So Herta, I mean, one of those odd instances, because we even ended up on the same flight. So
How often
really
does that
crazy.
happen?
Yeah. So Herta, you told me you had just had a book event. So talk to us about this. What has it been like for you to see the response to your newest book, Strange Shape of Love?
I feel very grateful at the response that I've received so far.
Mhm.
I received two fabulous reviews from the Manhattan Book Review and also the Midwest Book Review. We had a launch event with Wonderland Books in Washington, D.C. They're actually in Bethesda, Maryland. We had 60 or 70 people. We sold all but three books.
Wow.
And then I went to Kentucky, where I've never been, to Louisville, and we had a home party. A friend, Barbara and Bill Juckett, hosted me. They invited all their friends. It was a beautiful event, and we sold all the books again. So I feel like I've had a wonderful reaction.
Yeah, yeah. And I think what is so great about this, I actually bought the Kindle edition. My print edition will be here Wednesday, Herita. But what I thought was so interesting as I started reading the book last evening after I got settled in, is that you kind of bring us in from the very beginning. It's very modern. You start starting off in 2019 when we first started the book. We're going to talk more about that. But I want to go back and talk about your love of storytelling. Is this something you've always known you wanted to do?
Yes, from sixth grade when I wrote a short story called Bombs Away.
Mm,
And I got an A.
there you
So
go.
it dates way back, but my career didn't go in a straightforward fashion.
Hmm.
I did a lot of other things. I started an organization called Safe Kids Worldwide, which is all about childhood injury prevention. I'm very proud of that organization. It still exists. It's doing very good work. But then I decided to stay home with my children, my little babies, and I started writing. And that is what I had wanted to do for a very long time.
Wow. And now here you are, as I mentioned, your previous book. I'm going to highlight it again for you guys joining us on the Amazon side, Saving Phoebe Murrow. And now, of course, you have the new book, Strange Shape of Love. Our audience on the simulcast can see it there on the screen. I think for everyone, I write mostly nonfiction myself. Herta. But I think for everyone, there's a seed that kind of begins the journey for something they may write. For yourself, what was that seed for the newest book, Strange Shape of Love?
Let me just back up for 2
Yeah,
seconds.
sure.
Saving Phoebe Murrow was born because I read an article in the Washington Post about a young girl, 13-year-old girl, who was cyberbullied, and she very sadly committed suicide. I was so struck by that story that I filed it, and I ended up writing that novel, Saving Phoebe Murrow, in 9 months.
Mm.
That book, of course, is about the dark side of social media and the dark side of the internet. And that is continued in Strange Shape of Love.
Mm.
This time, it's a much older main character. She's 30 years old. She's a reporter. And she's had a little difficult period in her life. And suddenly things are turning around. And just as they turn around and she's got someone that she loves, she has a fabulous reporting job. She's enjoying London, where she's now living. She gets 5 nude photographs of herself with the threat that they will go viral if she doesn't do X. And she has 2 weeks to find out who is behind this. So it further explores that dark side of social media. And I do believe there are lots of positives to social media. We're using social media all the time in a
Right.
very positive way, but there is also a dark side. And I think we have to be really careful and understand what the risks are.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. We talk about on this program a lot, Herta, that when used responsibly and respectfully, the internet can be an amazing thing. As we're doing now with this, sharing this conversation online. I want to share my screen though, because I mentioned to you before we went on here, as I was reading the book, one of the things that struck me as I started was this quote you have from C.S. Lewis that's in the book. I want our audience to see it there. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. One of the things that Charlotte says in the prologue of the book is the past is the past. But what was it about this particular quote that struck you that you wanted to include it?
Well, exactly this. She was having a very hard time in life, as
Hmm.
many of us do in the course of our lives, right?
Right.
And you can never go back and change the past, but you can change the future. You can change the ending. Of course, in this case, as you're reading the book about, halfway through or 2/3 of the way through, you're going to ask yourself, can you change the ending? And that's part of the mystery.
Yeah. And I love the way that you did set this. Especially I think in the world that we're in today, where media plays such a role. You're talking about, of course, social media and the internet, but also, I mean, some of the platforms that I'm involved in here in Mississippi, media does play a big role as to how things are covered, what gets amplified. How did you decide where you wanted to plant Charlotte in the book, as far as her job, but also the role that media plays?
Well, having her be a reporter uh, gave me latitude to have her explore all kinds of stories. So I was able to have her investigate everything from human trafficking to workplace harassment to people who do exactly what happened to her
Mm.
of exposing someone's nude photographs.
Mm.
For example, I don't know if you remember Jennifer Lawrence and several other celebrities. There were 2 guys who hacked into their phones,
Yeah.
stole their nude photos, and put them online. So
Mm.
having her be a reporter gave me a huge amount of freedom to explore these things and to introduce the reader to them. And then doing it in London, honestly, that was really just for fun. I sort of felt like I wanted to try to have the setting be outside of the US. So
Sure.
part of it is in New York, but the larger part of it is in London. And I went there in 2016 and 18, 2018 particularly, to scout locations for the book, which that was
Mm.
a lot of fun.
Love that. So one thing that, and again, as I mentioned, for those of you who are just coming in, and I appreciate you guys. We're up to 430 of you guys over there on Amazon. I appreciate you guys joining us, but also those tuning in on Instagram and on social as well. I want to say for those that are just joining us, welcome. You're watching Cyrus Webb Presents. We're speaking today with author Herta Feely. I was actually introduced to Herta yesterday. We met yesterday at the airport in Baltimore. She's now visiting here in my home state of Mississippi, where I was headed back. We're talking about her writing journey, but also the book you guys see up on the screen there. I'm going to highlight it again for you guys on the Amazon side. Strange Shape of Love. It's available here in print as well as a Kindle edition, which is what I have here. Also, you can find her book, Saving Phoebe Murrah, as well, there on Amazon if you haven't gotten it for yourself as well. Was part of the fun of this too? You mentioned, of course, scouting locations. Herita, was part of this too in being able to incorporate things that you love in this book and things that you enjoy, like travel, being able to kind of bring that into the book, but also topics that are of interest to you as well.
You know, one of the other topics that I haven't mentioned, I love art. So I have Charlotte's love interest is a guy named Rafe Jackson. He's of Jamaican heritage. He's grown up in the UK, and he's absolutely rising star in the world of art. He's a sculptor. So I'm able to incorporate sculptures, and actually, you can make a lot of political and social commentary through sculpture. And he does that. And Charlotte, is in love with him. She was in love with him 6 years earlier, and then she kind of abandoned him. So that love story is also key to this entire story. So I wanted to have something uplifting. But of course, you also question, who is he really?
Hmm.
And I'll leave it there. I don't want to give too much away.
Right, right. And you're able to, again, tie in the real things, even from what I've read already and getting into the book starting yesterday. Harriet, I mean, you mentioned, of course, some of the individuals who have abused power. You talk about people in media like Matt Lauer. You mentioned, of course,
Right.
cases that we've seen, Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby. Is part of this for you? Because I always have found that sometimes some of the best fiction for myself as a reader are things that entertain you and engage you, but also make you think. Is that kind of also what you wanted to do with Strange Shape of Love?
Definitely. I wanted to give you a kind of gripping, suspenseful story that also sheds light on real world issues.
Hmm, love that. So, as you now are going and talking to people, I have not gotten the books. The other book I mentioned, Saving Phoebe Murrah, is that a book that I should go back and read after I finish the new book?
They're very different stories. I actually had a number of people, because of the subject, cyberbullying of a 13-year-old girl, people who had 13-year-old girls or girls roughly in that age range, say to me that there was a moment where they had to put the book aside and then
Mm,
they picked it up again.
yeah.
I've gotten a lot of compliments. The book won some, awards, contests, whatever. But of course, I would encourage you to read it. I think it's very worthwhile.
I want to talk about advice for authors as we wrap up here, Herita, because you're in a position now with two books. I read some of the profiles that have been done on you, and of course, your work outside of writing as well. What do you normally tell, especially when it comes to those who are interested in writing fiction? What do you normally tell them about starting, but also ways that they can be able to feel comfortable in sharing their stories?
I always tell people, and in fact, I told someone just the other night, if you really have a story idea, stick with it. Give yourself, whatever your writing schedule is, stick with it. It's sometimes very hard for people. They get the kernel of an idea, but they don't really know how to take it further. And I'm going to give a plug to another author. She has written a book, Sarah Domet, Domet. She wrote a book called 90 Days to Your Novel. It's terrific. It takes you through the elements of fiction, plot, character, setting, point of view, and all of that. She gives examples. She makes you do exercises. And that is what I think you can do and probably should do before you start writing the book. The other thing is take some classes, have some people, have a writing group, and don't give up on it. Or hire an editor to work with you, a writing coach. I do that all the time.
Hmm, love
And
that.
when I say I do that, I am the writing coach.
Oh, there you go. Love that. Herta, so glad that we bumped into each other over the weekend at the airport. So glad that we had a chance to chat some and that you agreed to come on the show. Again, everyone, Herta Feely has been our guest. Her new book is called Strange Shape of Love. Again, you guys can see it on the screen for those joining us via the simulcast. Those of you on Amazon, we do have it highlighted in our carousel. You guys can see either the print or Kindle edition there. Herta, let our audience know, how can they stay connected with you?
I have a website, www.hertafeely, exactly as I think you might see it on the screen. I would welcome any comments that you have, any questions that you have. There's a contact section, and there's a little bit more on that about me and about the book. And I thank you so much, Cyrus, for having me on.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Looking forward to staying connected with you.
Thank you. Likewise.
And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Web Presents. We have more to come, so make sure you guys are staying tuned with us here on Amazon Live. Again, make sure you guys hit that follow button either here in this corner or down below. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.